Hello and welcome to RFI's English channel. I'm Christina Rokello, and today I'm joined by Ursuline Kersen, an American singer and actress here in Paris. Hi, Ursuline, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, Ursuline, you're playing right now the role of not just anyone, but that of Maya Angelou in the play Maya une voix, or Maya, a voice in English. What was it like for you stepping into this role, the role of an American icon? Were you nervous at all?
Oh, I was very nervous and concerned about doing the role justice. As you say, she is an icon. It's a woman's story, and it could be perhaps best told by other women. And Eric Bouvron made that decision, and there we are.
There we are. And in the play, the spectator is plunged back into the trauma of Maya Angelou's past, a past of abuse and rape, which made her lose her voice for several years. Just tell us, how challenging was it for you, getting into this part and playing this very difficult experience?
Well, as you say, yes, she did lose her voice for 5 years because there was a trial, and ultimately this man was released from jail and he was killed. And to an 8-year-old's mind, she thought the fact that she had spoken and admitted what had happened was what caused him to die. She thought that the actual sound of her voice could kill people, and that is why she stopped talking.
The play emphasizes the importance of words, the importance of language, words which can either destroy us or build us. And the play opens with you saying in French, "J'avais dit oui," I said yes.
Yes.
Why this focus on language, and what was the message that you were trying to convey?
Having lost her voice for 5 years, she then found it, thanks to a fortuitous encounter with someone who introduced her to world literature and to poetry. And in order to entice Maya to speak again, she told her that she had to memorize the poems, you see.
Okay.
So that forced her to talk. And then from what she read, she began to realize the power of words. And the idea, I think, is, okay, well, if you're not going to talk, write what you have to say. And that was the beginning of it.
It's an extraordinary, experience that she had. She came from, this very tragic past, and to become one of the most famous icons in American history. And her story is really one of resilience and strength. What lessons do you think we can learn from her?
Well, you
today?
mentioned resilience, and I think that's one of the major themes that runs throughout her writing, because not only was she a singer, a dancer, a writer, a playwright, she did all kinds of things. She worked as an activist.
Yes.
She was right alongside Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. She organized and raised money to support them and others as they traveled to the South to demonstrate or manifest, as we say in France, against...
Yeah, a lot of demonstrations here
yes,
in France.
that's right. That's right.
But
against segregation, and so forth.
We're here in France. Maya Angelou's extraordinary life, ironically, is not very well known here. Yes, the French demonstrate a lot, like she demonstrated, but there's a little connection. What do you think your play? Do you think your play, will enable people to better know her, and will it make this connection?
I think so. That's one of the reasons that the director actually wanted to do this play here, because she's not very well known in France, and she merits being known as she is in so many other parts of the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and during her life, Maya Angelou as well lived in Africa for a while. She was in South Africa, I believe, Egypt and Ghana, where she brought up her son Guy. Next week, we're going to commemorate African Women's Day. Do you think Maya's message of resilience can strike a chord with African women today?
Oh, I think so. I think she will always be relevant as long as there are women in the world.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
But I think we can all take a lesson. I mean, she was so brilliant and she did so many things. She became the administrator of the University of Ghana.
Wow.
And
Okay.
she manifested against segregation in the States as well as apartheid. Yeah. And she also was the only female journalist for an Arab newspaper.
Can we say that the play is like a call for more female women and women empowerment? Is that what the message of this play is about?
Empowerment, certainly, but also a personal development.
Okay.
You know, not to be afraid to explore many different avenues to see what you want, to plunge the depth of one's own being, to find out what one really wants to do. And that may be more than one thing, you know, to experiment with different avenues of expression,
Yes, and
avenues of creativity and activity.
and
I think that many of us, maybe most of us, we have little gold mines within ourselves. So you don't have to focus on just one thing. You can explore different things, find out who's in there and what's in there.
and what can they take from Maya Angelou's experience to remind them of who they are?
Self-worth is a very important issue because start beginning where she began, you know, it wasn't written that she would become who she became.
Yes.
But the thing is, she did not let that one really tragic event determine who she would become. And one of the things to take away, I think, is mentorship. Because, as I said a moment ago, it was because of the encounter of a woman named Mrs. Flowers who exposed her to an entirely different world.
Yes.
Her world before was the store that her grandmother owned and ran, and church. And we can be mentors in our own way. That is to work to empower other women and support other women as they are searching and looking for who they may be. This is what she did.
And that's what we see in the play as well. There's a great complicity between you and the other actors. We sense a warmth and just happiness. You enjoy working together and you're backing and you support each other.
We really do. This is such an incredible experience. And everyone in the show says the same thing. We've all had our other experiences with different shows, but there is really a solidarity. We like each other.
Yes.
And respect each other tremendously. And I think also that Eric contributed a lot toward creating that kind of atmosphere amongst us.
I said at the start that your play Maya Voix, Maya Voice is playing right now in Paris at the Essayant Theatre. I think it ends this weekend, so there's a very little time left. Just remind our audience, why they should come and watch this extraordinary play.
Because this was an extraordinary woman. And her life spanned 84 years. And very few of us have done as many things as she has done. It would take 3 of us to live the lifetime that she's had, I think. But it's how this woman came from, a small child, with not so very much to become, as you said, one of the icons
Yes.
in the field of poetry and writing, in the field of creativity.
And there was just one thing I saw the play myself last
Yes.
weekend, and I said to you that it was quite frustrating because you start off, you're at Bill Clinton's the inauguration of the former American president,
Yes.
and you're about to read a poem, and before reading the poem, you take us back to Maya Angelou's early life, and we never actually get to hear the poem. What were you going to say?
Well, the poem is called On the Pulse of Morning,
Okay.
and it is very, very long.
Okay. Okay.
But there is
Can you give us
poem.
can you give us a short poem that we can
Yes,
include in this interview?
one is called "And Still I Rise." It was her favorite poem, and in fact, Nelson Mandela
Yes.
recited this poem at his own inauguration.
Okay.
Inauguration.
Okay, let us hear it.
Okay. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may tread me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like life, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.